Hey YouTube, BrandoMcWilli here, and I am going to do part 2 of my Red Lion installation for my Sub2000. Part 1 is basically me going over some basic details of the installation and also removing the front sight from the Sub2000. So if you haven't caught that video, you might want to take a look at that because the actual installation of the R6 Forend requires that the front sight be removed. Now, I've already done that along with the handguard of the Kel-Tec Sub2000, and you can see the handguard's off and the front sight is off. Had some difficulties taking the front sight off because of tooling. I didn't have the right tools, but I kind of wanted to try some things out before I went and invested some money in some tools. And really all I really invested in was a $20 heat gun. So before I even started to install the handguards, I wanted to weigh and measure really what I was taking off and what I'm putting on. So I really want to see, one thing that I'm really interested in is the weight value of my systems. And the cool thing about Kel-Tec stuff is that it's really lightweight. So I wanted to weigh where we were and where we're going to. So if I look at the handguard alone with all of the bits and pieces that go with the handguard, let's take a look and see how much this weighs. We're looking at 6.9 ounces, and I'm just going to write on the back of here 6.9 ounces. And if I take a look at the front sight, now the front sight is going to be off a little bit because I did grind some of it away in the other video. I'm looking right at 1 ounce. So a total of 7.9 ounces that I'm taking away. Okay, so really a very light system that comes with Kel-Tec already. So if you like that lightweight, then by all means leave it lightweight. Okay. Now let's just take a look at my front sight that I'm adding. Now I'm adding. This is called the R7 front sight, which is an A2 front sight post. I can add that alone, or I could have added that with a muzzle compensator, which I decided to do. And that front sight is 5 ounces with the muzzle compensator. Now, so I'm basically increasing my weight by 4 ounces. That's a pretty big increase, 400% increase, right? So now let's take a look at what I'm doing with the forend here. Now I got a lot of pieces because I haven't put anything together yet because I want to do that on camera for you guys. But I'm just going to start placing things on the scale and kind of see where we end up here. And I figure I could put some of the screws and stuff that will go on inside one of these bushings, because all those add weight as well. Right? Now they did give me one extra screw in each one of the packets, so I will leave one screw out as I install all this weight here. Alright, so with everything with two, now this is granted, this is with two 19-slot Picatinny rails, okay? That is 17.7 ounces. Alright, now if I take one of the rails off, that is 15.7 ounces. So 2 rails, 17.7, 15.7 ounces with 1 rail. When I called Red Lion, they said it was just shy of a pound. Okay, 16 ounces is a pound, so just shy of a pound is where I am. Kel-Tec system is about this weight with 4 rails. Okay, and you do not have to remove the front sight. So you can make that option or that determination of whether or not you want to put that on there. I'm opting to put 2 rails on there because I wanted basically a one on the left side and one on the top, and I may put something on the bottom later. I'll explain that as we go along in the video. But I wanted to show you the weight of these items first. So if you take a look at the total, at 7.9 ounces is what I was at, and I'm basically increasing that as of right now to 22.7 ounces. Alright, that's a pretty big increase, but I think it's doable because the idea here is I'm going to be adding a red dot to this and a sling system. I mean, this is going to be a system of mine that I'm putting together when you think of the philosophy of systems, and kind of wanted to show you that as well. So, taking all this stuff off, kind of show you my next step for this installation. Now, I've already done an accountability in my first video of all the parts and everything, so you can look through that and help me, or excuse me, you can help me see how the instructions go for that. But the first thing that I need to do for this particular installation is put on my rails. Now, they provided me with some screws here, some slotted screws that will, hold inside the little area here that it was for. Okay, and then I can put the screw on top, with the rail in it, like this. All right, so I'm going to install these. I'm going to pause the camera and come back and show you how I got them done. I'll show you the finished product. Be right back. Okay, I'm back. I've gotten the rails installed onto the Forend like I like them. And I have two sides that have nothing. This will be my bottom side, and this will be the right-hand side. So basically, as I'm holding the rifle or the subgun, it will be like this. And I wanted the rail here, and I might put a rail down on the bottom later. I'm not quite sure. Adding the rails was kind of tricky. It said that you could use a popsicle stick or whatever, but I had a really hard time trying to hold the grommets. And I used a basically set of small needle nose pliers to kind of hold the grommet in place so I could put the screws in. But that's okay. It took me a minute to get that done, but I got it done. So during the installation manual, I haven't really been showing you guys this, but like the first set of instructions was to make sure the magazine was removed and have an empty chamber. Okay, I did that already in part 1. Number 2, if not done already, remove the front sight. That's part 1 of the video. 3, remove the stock Forend. I did that in part 1 of the video. 4, configure R6 Forend with the rails in whatever location you desire. Voila, did that already down. So now I'm on step 5. So place coupler, which is part number 6 in the exploded view diagram, over the barrel and slide it all the way back until the cut face out contacts the barrel nut. Be sure that the clamping holes are down and the red line logo head is on the ejection side of the gun. So if I'm going to do that, get my Sub2000 over here, move some of the tools out of the way, and where is my exploded diagram view? Here it is. So I need number 6, which is this piece here. Okay, I need the red lion logo on the ejection side of the port, like so. Alright, and you want to get it to where it comes over this piece here. I don't know if you can see that or not. Alright, and you have a couple of set screws that we'll use, which are right here. These little suckers that we'll use to clamp that on and to mount this on. I'll go ahead and do that, and I'll come back. Okay, I've done the next few steps. I've actually done step 6, 7, and 8. Basically what I've done is I've placed parts 7, 8, 9, and 10 as shown. These were already installed when they first came in from Red Lion. So these screws, so this was 7 and 9, and this is 8 and 10. And these dog screws are number 11. And what it tells you to do is to tighten number 7 and 9 in place, and then, which is this one right here, 7 and 9. So you tighten these together. So basically I used a flathead screwdriver and my Allen key to tighten that. And then it says to place your dog head screws, which are the number 11 screws here, okay, into, let's see if I can show you, into the groove where the barrel nut is. And then tighten basically 8 and 10. And the idea here is that you have this nice opening right here, and now I can actually fold, if I can do it here, fold my Sub2000, and it folds into place. Oops, you can't see that. There you go. It folds into place. So that's a nice how that front sight fits nice in there. Okay, and then also too, you want to make sure that that's pretty secure, and you can't see it because I'm not doing it on camera, which it is. Okay, so now what we're ready to do is basically go down to step 10. Let's see here. Now part numbers 5, 4, and 2, and 1 must be assembled into place. So 5 is my Forend adapter. 4 is my my curled nut, and 6 is my adapter. So what the idea here is, I've already kind of looked at this in place. There are some grooves right here, and then there are some female ends here. So the idea is that when we lock this down with the coupler, this will lock and stay in place. And when I loosen the coupler, this can come out, and then I can fold or index the forend as I need to. So I'll go ahead and place that in place, and I'll show you the end result here in a second. Okay, the next step was basically to take part 5 and 4, 2, and 1, if you can see, oh, I apologize, 5, 4, 2, and 1, and assemble all that before we put that onto the gun. So I have the gun here. I can technically set this aside. I have it right here. So I put my Forend adapter inside my coupler. Okay, this is the part that screws on to number 6, and I started using my torque screws here and started placing them into the appropriate slots. Now this is where your T15 torque wrench comes into play, and you just basically install those into place. I've done 4 of them already, and I said, oh crap, I forgot to turn on the camera as I put that other stuff on there. But it's not that difficult to do. You follow the diagram, slide that in. And matter of fact, in order to do this, it comes assembled already, so you'd have to take it off to install number 6 anyway, so it's not that huge of an issue there. So once I get this installed, then the last thing I need to install is number 1, which is the end cap. And there's only 2 screws that hold that on. And I'll tighten these down later probably. But there's this hole here, and there's a hole on the other side, and we can basically just slide that in just like that. And put our screws in. Make sure it's lined up correctly. Which mine, there it is. Now it's lined up. Now, what I'm assuming is the idea is this whole thing could come off if the front sight wasn't on there at any time, which is kind of interesting. This one last screw. I know this is exciting video right here, but that's okay. The idea is to kind of show everybody what's going on. So now that they're together, place the whole unit over the barrel, point the muzzle upward, slide back until you're able to thread part 4, which is the curled nut, onto number 6. Okay? So it's basically, we'll slide this whole thing on like this. Alright, and now I can start screwing this curled nut onto my rail system. And notice this is free floats. Okay? That's okay. That's what it's supposed to do. And we can get it in line to where we want it to be, and then screw that down. And there we go. So now that's in place, and that indexing mechanism that I showed earlier is also in place. So, without further ado, the installation of the Red Lion forearm is completed. And there you go. So, not that hard to do this part. And to be honest with you, the weight that it adds is not bad at all. Matter of fact, let me zoom out a little bit so you can see a little bit better. In my Sub2000 video that I made a little while ago, I noted that a lot of the weight was right back here. So it's kind of unbalanced in its stock configuration in the sense that this is a little bit heavier than the Forend. Now, you want that to be the case when you do like a run and gun or something like that, you really don't want your weight here. This is the bad place for your weight to be. Now, with it like this, it is pretty much balanced in the middle. Now, I still got to add the front sight to it, but where it is right here, this is actually pretty nice. Not bad at all. And I'm really happy with how that went on. And I'm nice. The machining is very nice, and it looks really, really, really cool. So, I only have the 2 rails. I thought that maybe I'll put another rail on the bottom, which I can easily do. I thought about if I put a rail on the bottom, it's really going to be more for maybe a foregrip or something like that. I have a little Magpul foregrip that I could put down here. I'm not quite sure if I would like to use that on this gun or not, but Magpul rails will fit this forend. So keep that in mind as well when you place your order. Okay, so that's BrandoMcWilli. I'm done with the forend installation. I know that was kind of probably not the best how-to video in the world, but at least, you know, that part is installed and it looks really, really nice. I'm really, really happy with it, and we'll see how it goes. So the next part is basically installing the front sight, which I will do next, and that should not take long. It's basically just a few clamps and screws, and that front sight should be on. As a matter of fact, I'll give you a slight taste of it now, where we put this, slide this on, and then this front sight, oops, this needs to go on here first. So basically this basically just slides on here, and it clamps down on. And I'll do that video here next, and you kind of get an idea what the finished product will look like. So it's kind of cool, kind of cool. Anyway, do that next. If you like what you see, subscribe. I'd appreciate it. Thanks.